Oh, wait, we might just be online.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we are online.
Oh, very good.
I hit the wrong button. Hey, everybody.
Hey, guys.
Welcome to another live recording of Guide to the Unknown with me, Will.
And me, Kristen.
We're going to be getting started in just a couple seconds. If you're not watching this live, go find the other video with the finished show. If you are watching this live, share.
Yes, please.
Tell people to get in here.
Can you make it so we can see the comments if they come up?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
switch up or whatever?
There and
Okay.
right here.
Good.
Yeah, we're going to be getting started in just a second, but first we're going to share to make sure that people know that we are actually online.
That's right.
And then we'll get this party started. In the meantime, feel free to type in the chat things that you've been up to.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to? What you've been about?
Yeah, spooky stuff you've learned recently.
Yeah, tell us your spooky learnings.
Yeah.
Leave us some spooky leavings.
Hey, guys, it's Kristen.
And Will.
And we are going live on YouTube right now to do this week's episode. If you've never been live with us before, it's really cool. There's a chat room of people talking while we talk. It's a neat experience, so come join us.
That was very nice.
Thank you.
And like partly educational.
Yeah, I realized that I never say that, so people might like that.
Good stuff. Well, I'm typing right now on the Guide to the Unknown Facebook page at Gttu Pod all over the place. Here we go. We are live. Come be part of this week's episode before anyone else. Chat with us and other viewers. Bingo. Copying this, sharing that. I'm going to put it on Twitter as well.
Great.
At Gttu Pod all over the place, everybody. In case you didn't know. Haven't you been paying attention?
Okay.
And we'll be pretty much good to go. There. Cool.
I'll share your thing on mine. Hey, Eric.
Hey, what's up, Eric? We're pretty much there. My topic, bless you, tonight has been melting my brain.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and quite frankly,
Mine was a little simpler than I expected. I thought it was going to melt my brain a little bit more.
really,
Yes, we'll even out a little.
I to fully wrap my head around it, I would have needed far more time than what I allotted myself. But yeah, what can you do? I think I'll be able to give everybody a decent little story.
Yes. Hey, guys. Hey, Dana.
Hey.
Drew.
We're recording a live spooky podcast. Join us. Bingo. Bongo. Dodongo.
Boom.
Okay.
Dodongo.
Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you so much if,
Hey,
in
Christy.
fact, you're willing to share this. Hey,
Hey,
Christy.
Tabitha.
Tabitha. Cool. Meow?
Meow, meow.
Meow to
I
everybody.
feel like Eric might be meowing at Christy's cats. I could be totally wrong.
No, I'm
If
just...
I'm off base, correct me.
we just meow with
Hey,
each
Tracy.
other
Meow.
now. Cool. Yeah, what do you think?
Good.
We got through the
I think I
sharing
want to do
portion.
one nose blow before we start.
Okay.
Now that I'm sitting here. I think
A
that's a
one,
good idea.
a one nose blow.
Just in case.
All right, sure. Well, while Kristen's doing that, oh boy.
Oh, boy.
What?
I don't know if I can get out, really. All right, I'm going to use this. You have to,
Oh,
like,
that's going to be scratchy and coarse.
I know, but I was going to use toilet paper anyway, which wouldn't be that much less scratchy.
I could deliver it to you.
Oh, it's okay, whatever.
Okay.
I
A one nose blow. Are you like leaning toward a particular nostril or
I did each one at a time.
each one at a time?
I had a feeling it wasn't going to be a very productive nose blow, and I was right.
That's disgusting. I don't want to hear about your progress. Where are you going to put that now that you're done with it? Fold it into a tight little
Small as
package.
possible.
Looks familiar.
And then I'm going to leave it here.
Ew. Yeah, put that in your pocket for later.
I am.
All right. Oh my God, everybody.
You know I was being dad, right?
No, I know.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I haven't seen a tight little package like that since.
Dad.
Okay. Cool.
Cool.
Yeah, I think I'm good if you are.
Yeah, I'm set.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and do the show. This is going to be edited and put up on YouTube Friday.
That's right.
And podcast apps.
Of course.
Of course.
Okay,
All
there
right.
we go. Hello, welcome to Guide to the Unknown. I'm Kristen,
I'm William.
and we are here to tingle your spines. I was gonna say scare you. It got mixed up in there, so I almost said tingle your scares, but I stopped myself. I don't know. We're gonna regale you with stories tonight.
We're going to tingle your scares. Welcome back, everybody. If you've never listened to Guide to the Unknown before, Kristen and I each pick a topic from the world of mystery, share them with each other and you. This happens every Friday. You can hit us up online at Gttu Pod.
That's right.
Okay, who's going to do this? You go first? I go first? You go
Why
first?
don't I go first?
Okay.
Let's get in the mood.
Set the mute. All right.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, here we go. So, I feel, Will, we've talked about it a little bit before. We're both excited about something in this arena, that there's been a lot of deja vu entertainment out there recently. What?
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Do you have a feeling about you were kind of like, ugh, like were you going to do that or something?
There might be some deja vu in this episode.
Really?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I wanted to see. I was concerned that you were also going to do deja vu, so I texted you to ask you if your thing was timely. Will, would you mind going to your phone and reading what I wrote to you?
Is this like a magic trick now?
Yes, it is.
I have to-
I think you'll find it most illuminating.
Okay. You wrote, "Is your topic tonight timely?" And I said, moderately. Timely is a good term for it. You? And you wrote, well, I'm concerned I might be picking the same thing as Vu. I mean, you.
And then you never wrote back.
I didn't even see that text.
Oh, really?
It didn't occur to me until I was, like, finishing my research for the show that I should probably have followed up with you to make sure I wasn't covering the same ground as you.
I didn't hear back, so I thought you were just ignoring me because you were like busy and you're like, I can't deal with this crap right now.
Well, I
And
have
was
a-
like, well, if his topic that's a big enough leaving.
Right.
Big enough clue that if his topic was deja vu, I think he would have gotten back to me, so I feel safe.
Yeah, no, I didn't even see that. So that
Yeah.
did function as a really good magic trick.
Thanks.
Or as like some sort of a Mandela effect
Yeah.
that I had never seen it, but it was there the whole
I
time.
planted it,
Yeah.
knowing that I could cash in on it later.
You hid it in another universe and then brought it into Universe Prime.
Exactly what I did.
Yeah.
So I am going to talk about deja vu tonight, the phenomenon of deja vu.
Mm.
So it is in the upcoming movie that Will and I are both stoked to see, Happy Death Day to You. We're both big fans of Happy Death Day, the original.
Yep.
It plays a big part in the Netflix show Russian Doll.
Yeah,
that
that's
came out
right.
a couple weeks ago. Have you watched that?
No, I've heard it was good.
Really good.
Yeah.
I loved it. We watched it all in one day.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, Ryan was sick, so we were just kind of like laid out, but still, I had a great time.
Right on.
In Groundhog's Day. It's in a lot of popular things to the degree that I saw an article online that I didn't read. I saw the headline that was basically saying, like, is this its own genre now, basically? Like, are these things all homages to Groundhog Day? Or can we say that, like, the deja vu, day repeating over and over again thing is kind of like there's enough material in this subject now that it's kind of its own thing.
Yeah, it's its
think
own
it
kind
is.
of format,
Yeah,
I think.
it's specific and it's not easy to wrap up like you're like scary movie, blah, blah. You have to be like, you know that thing of like when you die and you wake up and it's the same day all over again? That.
Right.
But still it is kind of its own thing now.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I'm going to go into the scientific ideas and basis as to why we might experience deja vu, and then the paranormal ideas of why we might experience deja vu.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you experience deja vu often?
Not often, but I have definitely experienced it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really surprised that not everybody has experienced it. I kind of thought it was just like part of the human experience. According to how stuff works, it's like 70% of the population has reported experiencing deja vu. I was so surprised by that statistic.
Maybe they just haven't experienced it yet.
True.
You
True.
know,
Yeah.
those were all accounts of,
Yeah, up to
by
that point in
living
their lives.
people
Yeah.
said that.
It's a good point. It's a good point. We need to poll the dead. It's a
Yeah, they
very good
don't
point.
state on many polls
Yeah.
whether or not they're getting this information from the living or the dead.
It's incomplete data as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly.
Data. And also, interestingly, the highest number of instances of deja vu occur in people 15 to 25 years old.
Oh.
What the hell's going on in there? I have a theory. Oh, yeah, so I have this organized a little bit. So it's science and paranormal and then conjecture corner, where I have an idea.
Okay.
that I'd like to posit.
Conjecture corner.
I actually only wrote it down as conjecture in my notes. I just said conjecture corner right now.
Do you have any bits and bobs?
No bits and bobs.
Okay,
Just
but
conjecture.
at least we have the conjecture corner.
Exactly. So deja vu, if you guys don't know what it is by any chance, it's basically this overwhelming sensation or sense of familiarity that you have done or experienced the thing that's happening to you right now. It's usually very, very strong. Like, oh my God, like I feel like I've been here before. And it's so, I think that the concept of it is so familiar, and also for some people, like it's happened enough in your lifetime that the feeling is so familiar that you don't even acknowledge it that way. You just think like, oh man, I've got major deja vu,
Right.
which is just like, oh, I've done this before, but you obviously haven't. Like it could happen in a country you've never been to before, in a museum you've never been to before. So you could literally have never done that before, but you have this overwhelming sense of familiarity is the best way I can think to put it.
To the 70 or to the 30% of people who've never experienced deja vu, that must sound
Nuts.
completely
That's part of
crazy.
What's so interesting about this, like deja vu is one of those things which I think is so cool and interesting and love, where like there are tons of people who've experienced it. So let's say 70% of the population. Some of those 70 are scientists and people who, you know, deal in things that are, or at least are in their professional lives or something, like absolutes. And I like that this is something that like almost everybody has proof of happening to them, and yet it's unexplained.
Well, but proof is even tricky there, right?
But it's inner proof. Like if
Inner
you
proof.
know that this happened
Right.
to you, but you can't explain it, I feel like it's one of those things that opens up the possibility of other things that you can't explain, and yet you know to be true. If deja
Yeah.
vu is so true, like why aren't other things true, even though we don't have proof of them?
Yeah, and
You
what's
know?
also tricky is that probably in the 30% of people who've never experienced
Right.
it, they're probably also scientists and
course.
stuff. So
Yeah.
a scientific mind who's never experienced it might look at a scientific mind who has experienced it and be like, yeah, but what are you really talking about? What are really your credentials? Or maybe you're not on the up and up.
True, but 70% is a huge
70% is a lot.
margin. So even a scientist, I don't know how I got on this tear about scientists doing this stuff, but even a scientist like looking at this data would be like, okay, 70% of people have said they experienced it, even if I have not. Like I can't deny that data.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like it's got to be a real thing, unless this is just like widespread, like wishful thinking and or mania or something like that on like a very like minor degree
Right.
scale. But I think it's cool. I think it's interesting that it's something that most people have experienced, that it might open you up to being like, well, what other weird things like might be real?
It's interesting. I
That
feel
aren't
like it's also,
quantifiable.
maybe because it is such a commonplace thing, though, it almost gets put in its own category of like, yeah, deja vu is a thing, but
Right.
ghosts are nothing.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's so interesting that we're like, yeah, deja vu. But like, it's not that much weirder than a lot of other things that we write off, like ghosts or whatever.
Yeah, it is-
When you think
it is
about
wacky,
it,
yeah.
it's nuts. So the words deja vu mean already seen in French. And when I was looking for like scientific information about deja vu, there's actually very little about it, which I thought was kind of cool. I was kind of expecting to find more. Like, I didn't know any of this stuff, and I thought I was going to read like, oh, it's actually like when the synapse fires this way and blah, blah, blah. Like, I actually
Yeah.
really thought there was going to be an explanation for it.
Right.
And I was kind of surprised and a little delighted that there isn't.
Mm-hmm.
People really don't know. So one thing that we do know is that this isn't obviously the case in all people, but it's definitely deja vu associated with temporal lobe seizures. So
Oh.
people who have epilepsy and have temporal lobe seizures, and the temporal lobe is involved in vision, memory, sensory input, language, emotion, and comprehension, deja vu has been found to enough of a degree that it seems like it's kind of like a thing, to happen just prior to seizures. And not every single seizure, not every single person, but it's
Right.
an occurrence they've noticed happens a lot prior to seizures, or sometimes, and this is like so freaky to me, in between convulsions. So like, you know, if somebody was having kind of like a cluster seizure, maybe like in those moments of lucidity, because during seizures, I mean, I kind of know some stuff about seizures because my dog has epilepsy. I'm sure there's a lot I don't know. So if I'm saying something wrong, I'm sorry. I don't mean to like misrepresents seizures. I don't know. But and my understanding is that during seizures, you're unconscious. Like, you don't know what's going on. So from what I was reading, it seems like if somebody's having a cluster seizure where they're unconscious, come out of it for a period, they have another seizure and they're unconscious again. During those in-between come-out periods, they might be experiencing deja vu feelings, which sounds so disorienting to go for. I'm sure it's not as rapid as I'm saying, like, unconscious, deja vu. But, like, coming back into consciousness from what I've read is so disorienting as it is. To add in, like, that weird, cool, but also strange sensation of deja vu sounds extra just disorienting and confusing. Like, where am I? What is going on?
Right. I've been here before. I've been here before.
Right. And I just woke up. I don't know what was happening, because it's not like you, like, necessarily, I'm sure it depends, but, like, know, like, oh, here comes a seizure. You might kind of, but there's always that drop off. You know what I mean? It's not like gradual. You're not having one and then you have one. Right. So it just sounds like, that sounds very intense to me. But again, as I'm saying that out loud, like, there are also degrees of deja vu. Like, there have been times I've had deja vu where I'm like, this is insane. Like, this really feels, and then there are times where like, this seems kind of familiar, huh?
Yeah, it can be like a little itch, or it can be a full on like, whoa, I've been here before. I've done this before. I've had deja vu so intense where I'm like, oh, I feel like I can almost predict what's going to happen next. Right, totally. Because I have seen this event play out before. Well, William, that may have happened for you in particular, which I'll get to. So, conjecture. Conjecture corner. Not about you. I'll get to you. I want to know about me first. In my news segment, me first. It's in the paranormal section. Okay. Wow. So my conjecture about this thing with the seizures. I tried to do a little bit of looking up about this, but I didn't find it. Could deja vu, in some instances, in some people, like all these things, be like a mini seizure of the temporal lobe in some way? Like, is there some sort of weird misfiring that's happening or jarring in the temporal lobe that, like, messes with your sense of reality just in that moment? Just in that situation. Super brief, fleeting, momentary malfunction. Exactly, and not something that you would necessarily notice or feel the way that somebody feels a seizure, and obviously not lose consciousness. But if it seems to be tied to the temporal lobe in people with epilepsy, could it be tied to an epileptic activity of the temporal lobe in people who don't have epilepsy, diagnosed? Just something to think about. Yeah, it's interesting. It's like, you're walking down the street. You stumble. You ever do that thing where you trip? Yeah. You look back to see what you stumbled over. There's nothing there. You just kind of like fumbled over your own feet. Yeah. It's like there was a miscoordination. Exactly. That happened there. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with your legs or feet. No. It just means that something didn't align right. Didn't work the way that it's supposed to work to keep everything status quo. Teeny tiny stumble. Boom. And it just, because it's the brain, it's the human brain, has the effect of being like, oh, I've been here. Especially because, weird example, but like having a routine, doing the same thing all the time. You and I sit at this table at the same time every Wednesday, and we look at this camera. It's not as if this feels like deja vu. Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's even totally different from the feeling of familiarity. Yeah, it's like this overwhelming, like, oh, I'm in a construct. Right. This is like everything, like a particle of dust moving through the air feels like it's moving in the same pattern as I've seen experienced before. And I think it's the knowing that the familiarity isn't warranted. Like, we feel somewhat similar when we do this because we know we do this all the time. Right. Like, it's weird to have that sense of familiarity when you don't have that knowing that this should feel familiar. Right. It feels just totally incongruous with what's going on. Like, the emotion doesn't match the intellectual knowing of what's happening. You emotionally are like, oh, I've been here before, but you're intellectually are like, no, I haven't. I haven't had this conversation before. Right. It's so weird and so weird. Cool. So obviously there are people who, with and without epilepsy who have deja vu. And there are some people who study this kind of stuff, like psychoanalysts, who chalk it up to fantasy or wish fulfillment. Like, they kind of think that it's sort of like I don't know. The way that I read into this was that it was almost like the idea of, like, again, the most benign mass hysteria, if this is what these people's theories are, that, like, we know that deja vu is a thing, so we kind of, like, will ourselves in some weird way to experience it every once in a while. I don't believe that at all, but I think that that's what they're saying. Spoken like a true 30%er. Yeah, right, totally. Yeah, I think I know which pie piece those psychoanalysts fall into. Fall into, not eat? No, I'm talking about a graph of 70 and 30. They fall into that little 30 slice. I know which piece of the pie you're eating. I know which triangle you're sucking, Kimosabi. That's right. Ew. That's how you eat pie? Suck on a pie. Ugh. Yeah. Filter it through your teeth.
That crust is going to get so wet.
Oh, yeah.
Gross. Okay. And then I lost my place, unsurprisingly. And then exactly what we just said. A lot of psychiatrists say that it's a brief mismatch in the brain that confuses the present with the past.
Right.
And I wrote, does this tie into my conjecture, ? I think it does.
Oh, my.
So, like, kind of a misfire of the temporal lobe.
It's interesting, though, to think of that as, like, misconstruing the present and the past.
Right.
That's funny, because, yeah, it's...
like, oh, man, there's a quote from Grey Gardens where she's like, it's hard to keep track of the present, the past. Something like that.
It's hard to keep track of the past. That's funny. That's a very interesting... That's like something to chew on for a while. It's
absolutely.
Yeah,
it's intense. So there's also this school of thought which was brought about by Swiss scholar Arthur Funkhauser, great name, that there are different categories and nuances to deja vu, which we kind of talked about in a way, and that we can understand it better if we study those particular categories. So he kind of coined the term deja visite, I don't know if I'm saying that right, for already visited, meaning like specifically that you feel like you've been to this place before, this geographical place. And then deja vecu, V-E-C-U, for already experienced or lived through, which is kind of like the more like, that's kind of what we think of deja vu as altogether, but he's sort of dividing them into those two categories.
Yeah, drilling deeper. Deja vu is the overall sensation.
Right, and deja visite is like this place I have been to before. What is happening that makes us feel that way about a place?
Versus an action.
Right.
Right.
Or just something going on.
Sure, yeah.
I tried to look up more because I thought it was interesting, but they were like all academic papers,
Yeah.
and I lost my mojo.
Right. Yeah,
So-
that's perfectly fair.
Yeah. Okay, so now the paranormal ideas about what deja vu maybe is. You know what? I'll fast forward to how it might have to do with you.
Oh,
Let me
okay.
Scroll down a little bit. Okay, so some people think that it could have to do with clairvoyance. So maybe that you didn't actually experience this in the past, but maybe you for real dreamed this experience. You actually had this dream, and your experience, like you're having that deja vu because you have seen this before, but it was in your dream, which was like a predictive clairvoyant dream.
Yeah, I like that, especially because the psychics told me that I would get most of my visions through dreams. So it would track, theoretically,
Right.
that my experiences with deja vu, deja vu,
Deja vu,
are because I've...
Oh, nothing beats my Hellman's deja vu. That was a Dijonnaise commercial that I've had stuck in my head for like 20 years.
If there's a doctor like Heinrich Hellman who studies deja vu and he needs a podcast theme song, give us a call, Heinrich Hellman.
Do you guys remember that Dijonnaise commercial? Do you remember Dijonnaise? Is Dijonnaise a thing anymore?
I don't know.
I don't know. We can move.
For more conjoined condiments, head to youtube.com/talkbomb.
That's true.
We uploaded a couple of bonus videos loosely under the banner of Guide to the Unknown, where Kristen and I explore websites.
Yes.
One of them was a PB Goober user review thing.
Another food portmanteau.
Anyway, yeah, it's video exclusive.
Yeah.
But so anyway, I think that that's an interesting idea. I also think the thing that holds me up about it, though, is that if 70% of people have experienced deja vu, and deja vu might be some of that clairvoyance experience, that would mean the majority of people have some sort of clairvoyance, when I'd prefer that to be the minority so that I'm special.
Well, if this gives you any comfort, everything that I'm about to talk about is, again, situational. They're not saying that everyone who experiences deja vu is experiencing it as a result of clairvoyance. It's like, maybe it's this for some people. Maybe it's that for other people. Maybe it's both for some people, whatever.
So I can still be unique and precious.
You're still special, boy.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, thank God for that.
So one of the most obvious, obvious or not, but anyway, one of the most prevalent ideas about how deja vu could be linked to paranormal stuff is whether this is past life stuff, that you actually did experience something very like this in your past life, and there's a piece of you remembering it. So maybe they didn't have PB Goober when your past life was going on, but you were a big fan of peanut butter and jelly. Going to the Smuckers.com website and reading reviews about PB Goober could still like initiate your deja vu response because you remember how much you loved peanut butter and jelly in that past life. Do you see what I'm saying?
I see exactly what you're saying. And it makes a lot of sense to me. It's ringing a lot of personal bells.
Absolutely. So here's my conjecture about that.
Okay.
I was surprised I didn't find this anywhere. I'm sure it's out there somewhere because it's not like such a deep idea that I can't, I'm sure somebody else has thought of it, but I didn't find it in my researches. What about the idea of it being parallel universe / dimension kind of thing?
Yeah.
So like, what if, you from not your past life, but you of another dimension, like eats PB Goober all the time. You of this dimension don't eat PB Goober all the time, but if you go to the Smuckers.com website, you're going to be pinged because other dimension you loves PB Goober.
I think that's interesting, but I wonder if it's not about love. I wonder if it's about some sort of a specific big moment suddenly happening. Because maybe your deja vu is brought on by an event where it's just like, almost like you're like sitting in a cafe or something, you hear a car door slam, and somehow that triggers like, whoa, I feel like I've heard that before. Sometimes it's a completely mundane thing happening.
Using a silly example of just a random thing, but absolutely
no,
there are
sure.
ideas. Yeah.
Maybe that is the moment that in the parallel universes of the world, another version of you just died.
Wait, what might signify that you just died in a parallel universe?
Getting deja vu.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that's what that is.
Maybe.
Is that a parallel universe has just folded into
I would say it just slammed into you, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're not needed in this other universe again, so now all of you is in yourself.
Yes.
Ooh, I like that.
Isn't that interesting? So like Voldemort having his soul split across the 7 Horcruxes.
Right.
Our soul is split across the infinite universe
like
theory.
a big accordion.
Yes.
And every time one of those dies, the accordion comes together a little bit more.
Just a little bit more, and you suddenly have the overwhelming feeling of familiarity because another level of reality just merged into yours. You're in two places at the same time.
I like that theory.
Yeah, and the 30% of people who have never experienced deja vu don't exist in a lot of other
maybe they're
universes.
Only in this dimension. Maybe that's what explains it.
Yes, exactly.
They're just not accordioned out.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that theory. That's a good one.
Thank you.
You can sit in my conjecture corner anytime. So another idea is that deja vu is basically a good sign. It's kind of a sign that you're on the right path, a little bit of a nudge from your higher self or your soul, like giving you a sign in that way. It's making you feel something that's a little bit otherworldly to kind of let itself be known and be like, you're doing the right things.
Yeah.
So it's kind of akin to synchronicities, which are like things that you could write off as coincidence but seem beyond coincidence, not in the deja vu way, but just things where you're just like, what are the chances? But sometimes to like extremely nuts degrees that do feel so unlikely that they do feel guided by some unseen hand in some way. That's just like, how could this be a thing?
Yeah, that's interesting.
So both of those things are subtle signs that your mind could kind of brush off. But they could be signs that your unconscious mind, then I guess I went off a little bit here, perhaps the part of your mind connected to the universe, the collective unconscious, that well of trust, I was really having a moment, is letting you know that it's with you and you're doing all right.
I like that. That also feels like that idea of like your ears are burning, or what is it?
Your ears are ringing.
Your ears ringing. That means that somebody's thinking about you or something, right?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, basically, it's like it's an otherworldly action that shows you otherworldly forces are thinking about you. Basically,
it's interesting.
Yeah. And then this one I thought was very cool. I really like the name of this because I think it's a cool sounding name and it's kind of evocative of what it is. It's referred to as the tuning fork phenomenon. So there is this idea that when deja vu happens so this is a very specific deja vu. It's deja vu that's happening when you're with another person or maybe having to do with another person. It's the idea that your frequencies are matching up out there in the ether somewhere. So it could either be, you and me talking, or maybe the subtle bodies, our kind of etheric bodies. Our frequencies are lining up. We're on the same wavelength in some same page about this. And that's happening so powerfully that it kind of causes a ripple effect, like when you hit a tuning fork and those vibrations come out, and that ripple effect causes deja vu. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you're soulmates or anything like that. It could, but that's not like a sign or anything. But with this particular experience of deja vu, it can kind of be a sign to you that the person you're interacting with is matched up with you. And it could be situational. It could be about that thing that you're talking about. Again,
Right.
it's all degrees. It doesn't have to be a huge big deal, but you guys are matching in some way potentially.
That's interesting. That plays off the idea of us having sort of like auras and being
Yeah.
attuned to wavelengths and
Right.
spectrums and energies.
Yeah.
Cool.
Exactly. It's cool, right? And then also I found this interesting. I only found it one place. It was kind of random. It said that when ghosts are around us, the likelihood of us experiencing deja vu is higher. Like they exert some sort of influence or whatever that makes deja vu more likely.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think, I wonder if there's anybody who, outside of a seizure happening, experiences near constant deja vu.
I wonder.
You would-
I mean, there are all kinds of crazy, brain things that happen to people, so that could be.
You know?
Yeah. And maybe for a person like that, maybe they are able to see. Well, I feel like I would have come across this because now, I mean, I'm totally making this up. But I'm thinking if there were a person like that who was having near constant deja vu, and if they were studied, I would imagine there would be things going on in the brain that you could see, like, oh, when this happens, this is firing to that or whatever.
True.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
That would help
So
you
maybe
nail
there's
it.
a person who experiences that. But I didn't come across anything like that, but it's a very interesting idea.
Or it'd be cool if deja vu does mean that another parallel universe version of you died, and we find that out as like a fact somehow. You know, I don't know.
Right.
God tells
Yeah.
us that or something, whatever.
Yeah.
And then there's somebody who's like, huh, I don't believe it. And then they start experiencing deja vu
Yeah, yeah,
on
they're
the
like, oh, you don't
regular.
believe it, huh?
And there's a dimension hopping assassin after them.
Yeah. Ooh.
And they know it's a matter of time
Like the
until they come to
gunslinger.
my dimension.
That's right.
And get this version of me.
Yeah, that deja vu is like a ticking clock, basically.
Yeah. And it would
Every
be
time
the
you feel that
worst.
slam, you're like, he got another one of me. Oh my god, he got another one of me. Oh my god, he got another one of me.
And then it culminates with,
Again, like Horcruxes.
with the assassin finally finding the me that's been paranoid about this for all this time.
Yeah.
And they go like, I found you, Dimension Boy. And they like point a gun at me or hold a knife to me or something. And then we smash cut
Yeah.
to another version of me sitting in a Starbucks going, I just had the weirdest feeling. Oh, well. Drinking a cup
Anyway,
of tea.
it doesn't really affect me.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is my final conjecture having to do with the idea of ghosts being around us, upping the likelihood of deja vu.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be their way of communicating sometimes? Again, situational, some ghosts, sometimes whatever. But like similar to the idea of the higher self or the soul kind of communicating with us and letting us know like things are going well, let me give you this little ripple that makes you feel otherworldly, that shows you that you're on the right path. Maybe ghosts are kind of summoning up their strength and manifesting it in this kind of like record skip that happens.
To some extent, deja vu occasionally, to me, feels like waking up. Even though I've been going about my day,
Yeah.
it could be 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and all of a sudden, deja vu, and
Yeah.
I'm in the moment and paying attention to everything around me
Well, it feels
in
so
a way that I
new.
had not previously.
Right.
Is it a gift of awareness, increased awareness for a moment?
Yeah.
Almost
Yeah.
like a burst of
Great
adrenaline,
question.
like
Yeah.
a ghost touching
Giving you a little tap.
your temple,
Yeah.
side of your head by your temporal lobes,
Uh-huh.
and just going like, bingo, here's some additional awareness for you
Yeah.
for the next few
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah, definitely. I like that thought.
Hmm.
Because yeah, it does feel like a little jolt when you experience deja vu. It's just like it is heightened awareness, which kind of wakes you up a little bit.
Yeah, it's like a micro energy drink.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that idea. So that's deja vu.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah, what a that's a true phenomenon
Right,
that we
unexplained
take for
phenomenon.
granted.
Yes,
but
that-
there is no answer for
That's
it.
part of what is so interesting to me about it is that we all just accept it. We're like, yeah, deja vu, weird,
Yep.
huh?
It's
We've
a
just gotten
fact.
so used to it, but it's very weird and it's unexplained.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Well, yes, you and I are attuned to the same frequency because of Happy Death Day to you.
Yes. Yes.
Very much looking forward to it.
As am I.
So my topic tonight deals with other sorts of phenomenon in a realm similar to yours. Kristen, tonight I'm going to tell you all about time travel.
Great.
Now, I looked into a few things here. The sort of mythological representation of time travel, pop culture. Can time travel really happen?
Ooh.
And I'm going to end it all with a special little segment about instances of real time travelers
Okay.
in our history.
Great.
So, the idea of time travel goes back a long ways. And I'm going to sort of try to divide this topic into two sort of concepts.
Okay.
One is people who travel back in time, and the other is people who travel forward in time.
Okay.
Traditionally, most of the like old, like going back to the year 700 stories about time travel are about people accidentally traveling further and further into the future. So let's go.
Big oopsie.
Yeah, big old oopsie. Let's go back in Hindu mythology to a Sanskrit epic called the Mahabharata. It depicts a king who travels to heaven, and then when he comes back down to Earth, to our plane, he's surprised to find out that ages have passed. His kingdom is gone.
Yeah.
There's a Japanese story called the Urashima Taro about a young fisherman who visits an undersea palace. After 3 days, he returns home to find out that 300 years have passed.
Oof.
This is a recurring theme that shows up in different mythologies around the world.
You know I love that.
Isn't it fascinating?
I love it when different things show up different places. Before internet time, before that, they've just separately all had the same idea. Doesn't that seem like a coinky-dink?
What if you went somewhere and then when you came back, more time had passed than you thought?
Right.
Your family is gone. You might have grandkids that are older than you
now.
Yeah. Something wacky like that.
That's a mind fudge.
Pretty common. And then we're going to jump way later in human history. We're going to go to the 1700s to talk about time travel fiction.
Cool.
The earliest fictional time travel story is not an agreed upon thing. Nobody is like, this is absolutely the earliest one. However, it seems like this is for sure a contender. It's the story Memoirs of the 20th Century, written by Samuel Madden.
Okay.
This is in 1733. Very strange. 1733. It's essentially a book of notes.
Yeah.
The notes are all written by British ambassadors in the year 1998.
Okay.
And they are writing to 1700s people, so to what would have been the modern day at the time. These are notes from somebody in the insane future of 1998 telling us about their future and about like how the world is politically and how it has developed like in terms of its religions and everything. And the mechanism through which we got those letters, according to this book, are that the British ambassadors wrote their findings, and then to deliver them to people 200 years ago, they gave them to a guardian angel who delivered them to the past. So the world's first, right? It's like a simple little guardian angel mailman.
Yeah.
The earliest fictional storytelling time traveler is a guardian angel.
I mean, who better to have the means?
I guess.
You know?
I guess. And then that's going to continue through a few things. I mean, this is jumping way further ahead, but just like time travel as a concept of science fiction or as like sort of like fantasy and mythical stuff.
Yeah.
Like It's a Wonderful Life. You see what happened, what the world would be like without you.
Yeah.
And that's done through a guardian angel.
Right.
You know?
Right. True.
A Christmas Carol. Scrooge sees Christmas of yore via a ghost that you might call a sort of guardian angel. He sees his future.
Especially that last one, the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Or no, not the last one. The second last one.
That last one is
that last one's not an angel.
Terrifying guardian angel.
Yeah. I want to, after you watch Russian Doll, hit me up. Because I don't know if there is. There's something that happens in it that reminded me of a Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh.
I don't know if it happens in the regular Christmas Carol or not. I don't think it does. Yeah.
That's definitely piqued my interest. I'm a big fan of the Muppet Christmas Carol and no other versions.
Same. I hate a Christmas Carol.
I despise a Christmas Carol unless there's a Muppet
Oh,
in
absolutely.
it.
I love a Muppet Christmas Carol, but that story is garbage to me without the Muppets.
Yeah, it's garbage that should be in the bond, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
Give her a
thank you.
flush.
Yeah. Here's a classic time travel story.
Yeah.
And again, this is about traveling forward in time, interestingly. Rip Van Winkle. Kristen, what do you think you know about Rip Van Winkle?
I think we talked about Rip Van Winkle on the show,
Somewhat
right?
recently.
I do not remember. No, I think it was a long time ago.
No, somewhat recently. It was part of the
Really?
Sleepy Hollow topic that I did back in October, I think, because it's written by Washington Irving, and it was found in the same original book of short stories as the Sleepy Hollow tale.
I think you went into Rip Van Winkle lore during like a Land of Nod episode or something like that.
Maybe. But yeah, he definitely came up somewhat recently.
Yeah, I don't remember it all.
What? All right. Do you have an image in your head of what Rip Van Winkle looks like?
Yeah, like an older guy with like a sleep cap on and like swirly whirly slippers.
Okay, so it's all about like he was like tucking into bed or something.
Yeah, and like he's grown a long beard because so I guess
See?
he went
Yeah,
to, yeah,
exactly.
he went to sleep and then time passed a lot. Right.
Yeah, like hundreds of years.
Right. Okay.
Or something,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
Wrong,
Oh.
dummy. I set you up to fail. So this is an odd story.
What, are you kidding me? You made me look like a fool on my own show?
Well, I for sure thought,
This is what we're doing now?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right, it's on. It's on like Donkey Kong, mon frere.
Oh,
I didn't help.
oh, I think I
didn't
was
help.
seeing a. Did I see? I think I was seeing Avenue Q on
Uh-huh.
Broadway. On Broadway.
Yeah.
And something pivotal happened in the story, and a guy sitting behind me went, "Oh, it's on like Donkey
Oh my
Kong."
God, I remember you saying
and
that.
it made my blood
Wait a second.
churn and
Wait
boil.
a second. Did we see Avenue Q together?
I saw it like 5 times.
That's right. Were you there when there were guys like heckling them and then they started making out? Were you with me? It was like
no.
bros. Like you would think they were like from a frat.
Oh, I think I
or
remember you
something.
telling me about that.
I don't remember who I saw it with. But yeah, there were these guys who were like frat bros, I would say, and they were just like loud and like drinking, I think, and like talking a lot and like yelling, and they started like making out, which was a very unexpected development.
Huh. Well,
Yeah.
at least they had fun.
They sure did.
So Rip Van Winkle, strangely enough, I definitely thought this was about some old codger who fell asleep for a millennia.
Codger.
It's prior to the American Revolution. He goes out for a walk on the mountains to get away from his nagging wife.
Oh boy, ladies are the worst.
Yeah. And he climbs this mountain where he finds 9 bearded old men dressed in
God.
ornate clothes, silently bowling.
Man, I don't remember this at all. I do not think we talked about this.
He drinks some of their magical liquor
Okay.
and goes to take a nap. When he wakes up, his sword is rusted and his dog is dead.
Wow.
His clothes are all tattered.
Yeah.
He walks down into town, being like, well, that was a weird night, and doesn't recognize anybody down there. The portrait of King George isn't even on the wall anymore. It's been replaced by some guy named something like George Washington or something like that.
Oh my God.
What's going on around here? And then he runs into some other guy stealing his identity, who's also named Rip Van Winkle. And he realizes, whoa, that's my son. That's Rip Jr.
Oh my God.
And 20 years have passed.
Wow.
Only 20 years.
Huh. Okay. I mean, I didn't necessarily think it was millennia.
I definitely thought it was like 100 years.
I don't know what I thought. I knew it was a long enough time for him to grow a long beard. That's
Yeah.
basically my only beat.
Also, according to Wikipedia, he finds out that his nagging wife, quote, died some time ago,
Did she die of nagging too much?
but he is not saddened by the news.
Okay.
Cool?
Yeah.
That's not great.
Flush that attitude down the toilet.
Yeah, 'cause this Rip Van Winkle's
Yeah.
got a real crappy
Yeah,
tude.
he can go back to sleep for all I care.
Yeah, go back to sleep, Rip. He learns that the men on the mountain might, in fact, be ghosts.
Oh.
And then he just gets back
That's
to
a
his
cool story.
same old life.
Wow. Picks up where he left off.
No repercussions, but at least that nagging wife is gone.
So it sounds like, as far as Rip is concerned, who's a jerk, things worked out pretty well.
Yeah, Rip Van Jerk.
Yeah.
That's what they would have called him. And they all would have been like, yeah,
Jerk.
yeah, Rip Van Jerk.
Jerk Van Winkle.
Jerk.
That's better.
That's way,
Yeah.
that's way better. Anyway. All right, so this is all sort of like odd magical means and potions.
Cool.
Time machines. Kristen, what are they, where they come from?
Yeah.
The earliest story of a time machine is The Clock That Went Backward by Edward Page Mitchell in
Okay.
1881. You turn the handle, the hands on a clock, and you're traveling in time. So
Yeah.
it's still sort of fantastical.
Yeah.
Scientific time travel, to some extent, happens in The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, 1895. This is the first one where it's like you get into the machine,
Right.
you pull these levers and stuff,
And like
and
this
baby,
is definite. We've designed this to be a time machine.
absolutely.
Yeah.
This coins the term time machine. This sets up in popular knowledge the idea of the fourth dimension, that time is a thing you can travel through, just like space,
Yeah.
height, distance, depth, time. However, in reading the plot of the time machine, it also starts talking about Morlocks and the Eloi
Okay.
and a woman named Weena.
Weena? How do you spell that?
Weena.
Oh boy. It's a beautiful name.
Oh, that's a beautiful name. Also, there are crab people.
Oh, wow, this story's wild.
And so I move on.
All right, good.
Yeah.
There's too much happening.
Yeah.
I'm done.
So let's start talking about...
Back to the Future, ready.
Oh, well, actually, that is the next thing that I have, but I
Great.
don't even have talking points because I just wrote down popular time
that's
travel
fine.
fiction. Like, we all know time travel movies.
Yeah.
Necessary.
Yeah,
we can
totally.
talk about stuff if you want, but...
It's fine.
All right, let's get into can time travel happen?
Yeah.
This will be a real hot, brief segment. This is where Willie's gears started spinning way too fast. Didn't have the bandwidth for this.
I think, again, I referenced it before, I think that there's an episode of In Search Of, hosted by Zachary Quinto, about this subject, if I remember correctly. I don't remember anything about it, but I'm pretty sure there was a time travel one.
There's a subreddit called Explain It Like I'm 5.
Uh-huh.
And I started looking up
sounds
time
good.
travel concepts on there, and they helped me out massively. Because otherwise, you're talking about quantum physics and, like... Listen, I'm not saying that it's impossible for me to understand, but for sure...
It's hard.
For this purpose, it was just like, it was beyond my present capacity.
Sure.
So I'll tell you this. Is time travel possible? Yes and no. There is not an agreed upon consensus whether or not you can travel back in time, but it's not looking good. There are a lot of theoretical reasons why maybe it's possible with wormholes.
Right.
But wormholes aren't holes. Like, it's like I started being like, okay, all right, everybody.
That's too much for me
Shut
already.
it down.
Yeah.
Shut down your websites. I don't have time for this right now.
I can't.
Yeah. And yet I was still compelled to stare at them as if somehow the world
A
would be
wormhole
real.
would open up within the website.
Or like,
Yeah.
a hole opens in the website and the person's face emerges and they're like, let me break it down for you. I'll make this real easy for you.
It's Jeff Foxworthy giving you some Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader style knowledge about time travel.
I can't believe you don't know.
You might be a time traveler if
Yeah.
you traveled through time.
Oh, we could workshop some You Might Be a Time Traveler jokes.
I would love to do that later.
If your granny is wearing special space visors and talking about the 88th president, she might be a time traveler.
You want to hear my favorite You Might Be a Redneck joke?
Definitely.
How do I say it? I don't know. I know the gist. If to put away the valuables, you kick the Nutter Butters under the couch, you might be a redneck.
It's a good joke. The valuables. You got to protect the valuables. You kick the Nutter Butters under the couch. That's a great joke. That's a legitimately great joke.
I know. That's why I've remembered it for all this time.
Yeah. Yeah. You got a fancy dinner party, and your wife is getting ready, so you time travel to the future to try to make it to when she's done. She still isn't ready.
That's good. That's good.
You might be a time traveler.
And that's also like in tone. It's the correct tone.
Yeah,
of
exactly.
Jeff Foxworthy
Takes my
joke.
wife forever to get ready.
This is good.
And she still isn't ready. I traveled 500 years in the future.
I might be a time traveler.
The party's been over for a millennia, and she still isn't ready.
I have a real soft spot for Jeff Foxworthy.
So do I. That's
I
also
think
a
he seems really
deep cut
nice.
reference for some of you listeners out there.
Well, not me. I don't know what you're
Not
talking
you.
about. Yeah.
Not you. So
What is it?
no, I want that to be
Ugh.
special for some people.
Okay.
I'll tell you later.
I mean, I can figure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, time travel concept. So one of the things that I figured out that theoretically makes time travel in the forward possible, because that's the one that's easier to wrap your head around, and is actually confirmed that you can travel faster than 1 second per second.
Right.
Right? Like you think about that. That's what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
We're living 1 second of our lives per second that elapses.
Yeah.
Gravity affects everything.
Yeah.
It doesn't just affect like these physical objects. Your tea is kept on the table, and the table is kept on the ground, and my house is kept on the earth by gravity. Gravity also affects time.
Right.
So a black hole is not the absence of material. It's not a hole the way you think of it. It's actually super condensed matter.
Right.
And so the gravity is particularly high. So this is what I got from Explain It Like I'm 5.
Yeah.
If you want to time travel into the future,
Yeah.
you want to essentially, you feel the same, but you want the world around you to fast forward. You want to hit fast forward on a remote control. Get close to a black
Like
hole.
click.
Like click. Yeah. Yeah. you don't want to slow things down for a better look. You want to speed things up for a worse look.
Yeah.
So,
The tagline of Click.
yes, go toward a black hole. The closer that you get to a black hole, relatively, the rest of the world seems like it's moving faster.
Right.
Time
Cool.
time is moving slower for you.
Yeah, because the gravity is so intense in the area that you're in.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah. And so then when you get close to a black hole, it's like the world is fast forwarding. Step away from the black hole when you are ready to rejoin 1 second per second.
Cool.
Yeah. And so as a result, people who travel to outer space, they're leaving the Earth, which has higher gravity than space.
Right.
Their time moves more slowly out there.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
So it's
Crazy.
They-
God, the world is crazy.
yeah. So they measure it in like thousandths of a second
Yeah,
or whatever
yeah.
the hell. But time is moving slower, further away from
Right.
planets.
Right.
So time travelers are younger than us.
Uh-huh.
Wait,
I don't know. Is that
space
true?
travelers
Yeah.
are younger than us.
Yeah.
Sorry, astronauts are younger than us.
Right. That's crazy. So is Buzz Aldrin like 25? He looks great.
He looks really good.
Wait a minute. Wait.
You
Is he
look-
still alive? Did he die?
You look good, Buzz.
I'm serious.
Buzz, you look good.
Is Buzz Aldrin alive still? I'm not kidding.
I think so.
Didn't somebody die recently? He was like a famous astronaut. Not Neil Armstrong, right? Didn't he die like a while ago? You know, let's move
Don't
on.
ask me about this.
Yeah. Mom's gonna get mad.
I have no idea. Yeah, so anyway, enough of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's all I can figure out. That's all I can wrap my head around about traveling in time. Theoretically possible to travel to the past. Realistically, probably not. Definitely possible to travel to the future, but it's not what you think.
Yeah, right.
It's minute.
Right.
There is also a theory put forth by Stephen Hawking that even through all of this conjecture and theorizing about like, well, this is how you would do it to get to the past. We don't know if we can physically get these things to align to be able to do that yet, but this is how it would work. Stephen Hawking basically went, well, hold the phone and pump the brakes. He put forth something called the chronology protection conjecture,
Okay.
which states
Oh,
that
also a fan of a conjecture corner.
he loves the conjunction corner. You
Great.
and Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
You got a thing going.
2 peas in a pod.
Yeah. He theorized that even though some of this is theoretically possible, the laws of nature will prevent it from happening.
Oh,
It would be a
interesting.
violation of nature
Right.
to be able to travel back in time.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So it won't happen even if you got the stars to
Yeah.
align to make it happen. Nature will prevent
It
it.
w't allow it.
Yeah. It's an
Life
interesting
finds a
idea.
way.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. You are not allowed to go back.
Yeah, right. Interesting. That's cool.
Yes. Paradoxes, the causality loop. This is essentially the idea of somebody gives you something, you go back in time and give it to them. Where did it start?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Or more specifically, you go back in time to give somebody something,
Right.
and then they give it to you in the
Right.
future. Where did it come from?
Uh-huh.
That's the causality loop.
Okay.
The grandfather paradox. You go back in time and kill your own grandfather.
Right.
Do you stop existing?
Right.
Is that even possible? If that happened, you were never born, so
Right,
you
so
couldn't
how
have
did you
gone
even
back in
kill the
time to kill
grandpa?
him.
Right.
Yeah. That brings us to the many worlds theory, which is that you don't travel back in time to your own timeline. Anything that happens via time travel creates the multiple universes. Enter deja vu.
Yeah.
We've just time traveled back to your topic.
Yeah.
Everybody listen back to Kristen's
Amazing.
topic and then come back to this time
Yeah.
timestamp in the show. And the butterfly effect. The butterfly effect is typically just an illustration of chaos theory, that the flapping of a butterfly's wings can eventually result in a gigantic tornado happening. But we've also seen that happen a lot in time travel fiction where
Yeah.
you go back in time, step on a bug, you come back to the present, everybody has toasters for hands.
Right. Oh my god.
All right. I can't
Did
talk
you just pull
about
that?
yeah.
That was good.
I can't talk about any of that stuff anymore.
Yep.
So let's conclude. Real life time travelers.
Yeah.
These are the times that it's been claimed we've gotten proof that somebody amongst us is actually from the far future or the far past.
Cool.
I introduce to you, for your approval, the Moberly Jourdain incident
Oh, of course.
of 1911. Charlotte Ann Moberly and Eleanor Jourdain published a book called An Adventure. It chronicles their experiences visiting a small chateau on the grounds of the Palace of Versailles
Wow,
in
a lot
France.
of French words that I feel like you're doing a good job on.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Monsieur Mangetout would be proud.
Bonjour, Mangetout.
Bonjour.
Okay.
They visited these grounds, and essentially, they were expecting them to be run down, yet instead the gardens appeared to be vibrant.
Verdant.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
The greens are so
Green.
green.
Great.
Green. They claimed that they saw guards who were like, that way, please, keep going that way, whatever. Like, totally average day for all these people.
Yeah.
And they claimed to have seen Marie Antoinette.
Oh, okay.
Now, some of this was later explained as we saw a bunch of ghosts. However, it was also theorized, no, you entered a time slip.
Yeah.
You went to this place at this time, and you accidentally ended up at that place in the late 1800s.
Right, in the wrong time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Highly controversial.
Sure.
Complicated by the fact that these two women claimed to have other paranormal experiences. Maybe there was something completely unique and special about them.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just were throwing in a lot of different concepts.
Right.
Who knows? But yeah, that's a big one. Chaplin's time traveler.
Okay.
Let's fast forward to 1928. In the Charlie Chaplin movie The Circus, there is a shot of a city street. In the background is a woman seen walking around holding a black rectangle up to the side of her head.
I think I've heard of that.
In the year 2010, people were watching this on DVD, saw her, and went, whoa, that's a time traveler using an iPhone.
Yeah.
In the background of this Charlie Chaplin movie.
That's awesome.
It spread far and wide. It was circulated on the local news. It was everywhere. People explain it away. I still haven't seen anybody pull up the exact thing she would have been holding that was timeline
Appropriate.
appropriate.
Yeah.
But they say it could have been an ear horn
Okay.
that she was hard of hearing.
Yes,
and
sort of device.
some sort of like a rectangular ear horn, or it just looked weird. She was holding it up to her head. She was definitely in the background, looking like she's
so
chatting on the phone.
weird.
Yeah.
What the hell?
I know. Some people say that at the time there was technology that was like a hearing aid
Right.
sort
yeah.
of a thing. So maybe it was that.
Yeah. That's so strange.
Yeah, that's happened several times.
Really?
By the way, yeah. There's
In movies, you mean?
Oh, in everything. There's a
Yeah.
Mike Tyson match in the 90s where you can see everybody's watching the match. It's like the mid-90s.
Yeah.
Cell phones they existed, but I mean, you know what
Yeah.
90s cell phones were
Yeah.
like.
It was
And
a
yet
different
somebody
animal.
is in the crowd recording the fight on a vertical rectangle.
What? What?
Yeah.
What's going on?
I don't know. Time travel.
What?
Time travel. Time traveler came back to the past to record a Mike Tyson
What
fight
must this
that hadn't been
be?
recorded in their timeline.
What must this be?
The
Yeah, right,
footage
like, yeah, why'd
of
they
this
come
Mike
back?
Tyson fight
Yeah.
wasn't available in the future.
Right. Right. What is this?
Now, you can also make the argument that
Uh-huh.
there are undoubtedly there are Apple employees who are using prototype devices in the field.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Gawker and Gizmodo got banned from any Apple events because somebody who worked at Apple was using like an iPhone 5 or something and left it at a bar. And Gizmodo bought it to start reporting on its specs.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, well, that's somebody that's using future tech.
Right.
But it's for a reason, for like a privileged, I work on the team that's making this, I'm testing it reason.
And that's also very, it's very close future. I would imagine that these notable things aren't like, oh, they're using the iPhone X when only the iPhone 7 was available.
Well, who knows? Maybe even the phones that we're using are a fraction of the power that we should be capable of, but the government is holding on to it.
Well, no, I mean, like...
So maybe that guy was a government employee who had
Oh,
an
I guess I see what
iPhone,
you're saying.
an iPhone-esque device in the 90s.
Right, right. Oh, no, to be flashing them around like that?
It would be a pretty bad idea to be
Yeah, that
holding
seems
it
like-
up in
yeah.
the air recording a Mike Tyson fight
Yeah,
where
it
there are
seems-
other cameras recording it and you.
Right, it's very high profile. Wow.
Yeah. Also,
Interesting.
there's some people who like to point out that there was some sort of a, personal camcorder that was a white vertical rectangle available at that time commonly, but those people are just naysayers. That was definitely a time travel. So let's move on.
Was that camcorder like thin, like a phone? That sounds like a weird camcorder.
It was weird.
It was weird.
My next topic will be weird electronics.
It's really strange. That doesn't sound like an appealing camcorder.
Yeah, but, well, whatever.
A flat rectangle? Like, why?
I don't know.
Anyway.
All right, let's talk about the hipster.
Okay.
A 1941 photograph taken at a bridge opening ceremony reportedly shows a modern-day hipster wearing cool guy sunglasses and a cardigan over a printed T-shirt.
I mean, how many hipsters look like they're like, like street people of the 30s?
Street people of the 30s.
Yeah, I think that I have to see the picture, but like just off the top, I feel like a hipster could fold neatly in, or a hipster look kind of thing. Like it's not surprising to me.
Well, I mean, this was the era of everybody, all the men wearing hats and suits.
Were there mustaches involved?
No mustache.
Okay.
No mustache. But his hair is like kind of like wavy and kind of combed back. It's not slicked back, but it's like kind of combed back.
Yeah.
And he was standing there looking like particularly cool
Oh my God.
at this bridge opening ceremony.
He sounds really annoying.
With a cardigan and a printed tee, which was not the style. And there are some people that like to point out that it was also common at the time to sew emblems onto your clothes. But those people...
The naysayers.
They're the same people that want to pop your balloon. So let's move on. He definitely looked out of place, I'll tell you that much.
Well, I'm excited to look at this. But there'll be like listicles or wherever that go around that's like, look at these hot Victorian people. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because you're used to seeing ones that are just like, they look so from another era. But then there are some guys who got like some old Victorian swagger.
Yeah.
And they're wearing clothes that like look recent enough where you're like, yeah, that's like a hot dude. Where you could just, you could put that kind of story onto that and be like, that's a time traveler. Because like, man, look how disaffected he is.
Remember when they tried to make, what is that H.G. Wells story? I think it's H.G. Wells. He has a story about, or there's a story about chasing Jack the Ripper into the future. You know what I'm talking about?
It kind of rings a bell.
They tried to make a Sexy Boy show about it.
Oh,
like last year sometime.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know what it's called, but I remember they made a Sexy Boy show
It's
about
like
Jack
Sexy
the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Having a Victorian era dandy travel to 2019 Brooklyn and fit right in.
Right. Nightmare.
And be like, maybe he's even like, oh, I was an outcast in my own time, and here, I'm the hot new thing.
Right, I'm so comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that would be Brooklyn of like a number of years ago.
Right.
Maybe not today, but still.
Oh, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah, well, you millennials with your avocado toast. Boy, is that joke old yet?
Feels fresh to me.
It feels like the oldest person joke in the
Definitely.
world. I heard a
Avocado
podcast
toast.
I listened to was talking about some movie.
Avocado toast is good.
And they were like, I bet millennials like this. Yeah, they probably eat avocado toast while they watch it, right? And I'm like, that was not funny when that was first announced as a joke, but it was somewhat accurate.
Yeah,
to be fair.
Sure.
But now it's just like, oh my God, it's been like 2 or 3 years.
It's so old. And also get on board. Have you had avocado toast? It's really good.
Oh. Anyway, let's get to an urban legend. The legend of Rudolph Fentz.
Ooh, wow. That's a hell of a name. Rudolph Fentz.
It's an urban legend from the 50s. This has been reported as a fact.
Okay. By who?
Everybody, Kristen, everyone. In New York City in 1951, a man wearing 19th century clothes was hit by a car. The subsequent investigation revealed that the man had disappeared without a trace in 1876.
Oh.
The items in his possession suggested that the man had traveled through time from 1876 to 1950.
I want to know what these items are. Or some like old timey.
A note that says, I'm from 1876. And a lot of people like to point out that this was a fake story.
Right.
But those are the same people that tell you not to bother making a birthday wish.
You're right. They're going to sit on your sandwich.
Exactly. So let's move on to John Titor.
Yeah.
Do you know this name?
No.
Oh, this is one of the best stories. The year's 2000/2001. In the age of the old internet. Message boards
Are the rage.
are all the rage. And
king of the
suddenly,
internet.
somebody using the username John Titor begins posting about how he hails from the year 2036, and he is an American military soldier selected for a time travel mission and sent back in time.
That's great.
He posts about his world. He lives in a war-ravaged timeline because, you see,
What year is this again?
This is the year 2000.
Well, but like, what's his year?
2036.
Oh boy. Okay.
He talks about how starting in 2004, the world was on the verge of global change. Nuclear war loomed. In 2015, World War III struck.
Uh-oh.
You see, Kristen, there were border disputes.
Oh.
And there were wars over religion and stuff,
Yeah. Etc.
et cetera, et cetera. Order and rights and border clashes and overpopulation.
Okay.
Odor population. Anyway, in
Lots of
his
fights
time,
about
and there was a civil war, of course.
Naturally.
He also warned of the spread of Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, which is spread through beef.
What?
This is arguably...
So he definitely just had okay, this person who did this had a friend named Jacob Creutzfeldt. And thought it was funny to talk about this being this disease that
I feel like-
ravaged.
I think there's a chance Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease is real.
Oh, really?
I think there's a chance. He was just like, there's an epidemic of it. I don't think he made up a...
Oh, I thought he made it up.
My friend Jacob, his mortal nemesis, Jacob Creutzfeldt,
Yeah,
he turned
right.
into a disease. Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease.
And he showed his friends, and they're like, oh, man, good one.
Wait until Creutzfeldt... Wait until Jacob Creutzfeldt hears what I've done in my latest prank. It's taken me months of planning. But I've turned him into tainted beef.
That sounds like an old-timey insult.
Yeah.
Like, being like,
You've made tainted beef of me!
yeah, right.
That's so stupid.
So maybe this guy is actually from the way, way past, zoomed into the future, and then
yeah.
did this.
Yeah, but he's from all
With
over
that
the
tainted
place.
beef reference.
John Titor's
Yeah.
like rubber banding.
Can you imagine the deja vu this guy's got?
Gone everywhere. So he claimed that he was sent back in time. He needed to go, the original mission, the United States military used their time travel tech to send him back to 1975 to get an IBM 5100 computer, which they would need to debug the legacy computer programs found in the year 2036.
Wow.
He claimed he was the descendant of one of the original programmers that made that computer, which is why he was selected.
Ah,
To-
Woz?
What?
Steve Wozniak?
Steve Wozniak? My name is Little Gordon Wozniak. Steve is my grandpappy. To prove his lineage, he posted a bunch of facts about the computer that had not been made public before.
Was that true? They really hadn't been?
They were they were accurate.
So who the hell is this guy?
Everyone immediately went, oh, he's a computer scientist, and people pretty much know who he is.
Oh, really?
But
That's
anyway,
really
we'll get to that later. People like to say...
Yeah. That he's a computer scientist, that he works in the industry and has access to this kind of information.
But let me tell you the truth about his travels.
Yeah.
He then claimed he decided to make a personal trip to the year 2000 to visit family and take some family pictures and heirlooms that, in his timeline, had been destroyed in the nuclear war.
Oh, boy. But I feel like that creates a paradox.
And while he was there, he started posting on internet forums about the future.
Oh, so he wasn't posting this from the future? It was
No, he was saying, I'm in the year 2000 with you, but I'm from the year 2036.
Oh, okay, I thought he was posting in the year 2036, but it was reaching us somehow in the year 2000.
No,
he was
he
like,
came back.
I'm sending this back to you somehow.
The government
I gotcha.
said, go to 1975 and get this computer. He did that.
Yeah.
And then he was supposed to come back with it, but instead he was like, I'm going to stop and visit some family first.
Gotcha.
You know, like when the military tells you to do something and then you decide to take a personal
you
detour
casually-
for a while.
Yeah. Right, you veer from that course of this super secret mission that you're on,
Traveling through time.
and they're chill with it.
and you start telling people you're traveling through time.
Right.
And you're in the American military.
Yeah, you know that thing of that.
American military in the future.
Yeah.
Man travels back in time, starts talking about how to avert the future crisis and win the future war.
Right.
Do competing world powers try to kidnap that man?
Yeah, absolutely. This guy's got great information.
It's almost risky to lie and say you're a time traveler.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you're right. Because if somebody takes that too seriously, you could be in major danger.
Right? As stupid. Oh, major danger
Yeah.
might get you.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to put some sort of blocker on that message board that keeps it from major danger and his agent's eyes. Agents of danger. Danger agents.
The AOD.
Yeah.
The Agents of Danger.
That's right.
Major danger.
Right.
Donald Danger. But yeah, for real. Like if I right now was like,
Yeah.
I have intel about the American strategy in the future war. Why wouldn't some other place just be like, all right, get that tubby guy from
Yeah,
Jersey
right.
just in case?
It sounds like he might know something.
Sounds like he's lying, but
Yeah, if not,
what
we
if
can
he's
just kill him.
not?
Right.
We'll have future information. Anyway. So Titer started to say that the many worlds theory of time travel is the accurate one. They know this after having come up with their time travel tech. So by him telling us what's going to happen in the future, he's also effectively preventing it from happening.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And some people say that that was just a convenient excuse for the fact that his predictions never came true.
I'm not here to hear that, Will. I can feel the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
Yeah.
those are the same people that like to,
Right.
you know,
You know.
do something or other
Right.
that I don't have time for. So,
Squash your salami.
yeah. Anyway, this is all rad. And I love the idea of all of this.
Yeah.
But for sure, it seems like there are people out there who tried to hunt down who John Titer is.
Right.
Eventually stopped posting. People are fairly confident that there is a Florida entertainment lawyer who he and his brother were behind the John Titer posts, and that they'd been working on it for several years, that they had actually started posting stuff like this in 1998. They even documented what it would take to make a time machine, and it turns out...
Wait, what do you mean? These two brothers documented what it would take to make a time machine online? Is that what
Yeah.
you're saying?
Like they would post as their character that they'd made,
Oh my
saying, here's how
God.
the time machine was made in our time. So it was almost like the Blair Witch marketing campaign.
Yeah,
where they're
right.
like, no, the fictional thing is the real thing.
Yeah.
But they had nothing to market. They were just kind of doing it to do it.
Yeah.
And it turns out that John Titer is also a registered trademark. So this was like a creative entertainment proposition.
Right. Kind of like doing a multimedia sort of thing, which
Yeah.
is actually very cool.
Yeah, I think it's I genuinely think that that's rad.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
I think it's a fun idea for a future person to be posting on our
yeah, absolutely.
as of now primitive message boards.
Totally.
And whatever. But it's also just cool as like a story.
Yeah.
So, for fun.
That reminds me of the episode of Beyond Belief Fact or Fiction that I was watching last night, where somebody bought a used computer,
Yeah.
and then messages started coming in from it from the previous owner, who was trapped in an Egyptian tomb or something that caved in.
Whoa.
And they were like, "Oh, how much more battery power does your computer have? We'll come get you." And he was like, "I'm not using a computer." His mind was just connected to the computer.
Whoa! Yeah.
I didn't make it to find out whether that was fact or faked.
Oh.
But I have my guesses.
My suspicions. And there you have it. That's basically
Yeah.
my time travel
Amazing.
story for you.
Mind bending.
Stories, the real life implications of travel, and
Yeah.
theoretically the people who we've caught time traveling in movies and stuff.
Right. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I definitely want to see the picture of the lady in the Charlie Chaplin movie. I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. We should look that up.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do another quick little bonus video
Yeah.
after this to go online.
Yeah.
So that people can watch us watch the time travelers.
Yeah, let's do that. Cool.
But yeah, there you go. I think we've given all of you everything you possibly need to go see Happy Death Day to you.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank
Now
you for
you're
stopping here
well-equipped.
first
Yes.
to get up to speed
Right.
with the concepts.
With how all these things work.
Yeah.
So we'll see you next week. In the meantime, you can follow us on all social media at GTTU Pod. You can join our Facebook group, which we just kind of like rebranded, I guess you would say. So now you can search for Guides to the Unknown, Secret Society. And we have a cool new logo that William made. Or you can just go to facebook.com/groups/GTTU Pod to find that.
Join our secret society.
That's right.
I'm hearing whispers from the internet.
Oh.
You can also follow Kristen and I individually online.
That's right. I'm at Chillin' Kristen on Instagram.
I'm at Haunted Sponge. If you enjoyed this show, please tell your friends. Leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, whatever they want to call it.
Yep.
And consider going to patreon.com/GTTUpod to give back and enable us to go do weird things out in the world.
Yeah, we would super appreciate it. You can just donate anything that you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We're going to go now, but we will see you next week. In order for us to get more information, though, we must travel.
Back to the netherworld. Go away. Where's the camera? I can't see it. Good night.
Good night. What is it where someone goes, where are the cameras?
Oh,
What is-
shit.
what is that?
Oh, excuse me.
Where are the cameras? Oh, I know what it
What
is.
is it? What is it?
I know what it is. It's when Kramer has the old Merv Griffin set.
Oh my God.
Merv Griffith? What's his name?
Merv Griffin.
Griffin.
Yeah.
He assembles the Merv Griffin set in his apartment, and then he has an animal expert come in, and he's got a hawk on his arm, and Kramer's reading from cards. He's like, and you've got an interesting story. Why don't you tell us all about it? He's like, where are the cameras?
Yeah.
There's nothing there.
It's so
Wonderful. And meanwhile, George has been. I came up with a game. Everybody, post, by the way, we haven't been able to read the chat, so if there's anything you want us to talk about, start posting it in the chat now so that we can see it in the most recent part.
Yeah.
But I came up with a game around Seinfeld, which was unraveling what the entire point of the episode was based on one plot strand.
We've done this before.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I'm describing it for
Oh,
them.
okay, yeah.
Because Seinfeld, all the plots are pretty distinct, but they get interwoven. So, Kristen, start telling me about that episode where Kramer gets the Merv Griffin set. Do you know anything else about it?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
All right, let me do some of the work. I don't have all of it.
Okay.
But Kramer gets the Merv Griffin set in his apartment, so he gets an animal expert who has the falcon, which means that's also the episode where George nurses a squirrel that he hit with his car back to health because he's holding it around his chest and the hawk attacks him.
Right.
So I've got two plot threads. That's the Merv Griffin episode must also be the one where George has a girlfriend who loves animals.
Yeah.
And when he hits a squirrel, she makes him pay for his vet bills.
Yeah.
So I've got half of the plots.
Yeah.
I don't know the Jerry
That's
plot, and I don't
good.
know the Elaine plot.
Yeah.
But that's a game you
That's
can
a really
play.
good game.
If you are friends with people who are mega Seinfeld fans, that's a good little dinner party game.
Yeah, that's a really good game.
Just throw something out there.
Yeah, and see if people can connect the threads.
Yeah, Kramer starts making pasta statues of his friends. What are the other plot lines?
Well, Bette Midler is there.
Right.
What's his name? Well, George's dad sits on Fusilli Jerry, so he has to go to the proctologist who has the Ass Man license plate hanging on his wall.
Yes.
So that means Kramer also got the car that has the Ass Man vanity plate on it.
This is the butterfly effect because you're piecing it together from little information.
Yeah.
So it's the Seinfeld effect. That's the name of the
Seinfeld
game.
effect.
That's the name of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great game.
Copyright Guide to the Unknown,
Yep.
the Seinfeld effect.
2019.
Cool, everybody.
Yeah. Hey, guys. I'm glad you were chatting it up.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad you're all hanging out with us.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
I'm getting stuffier by the second.
Oh.
So we should record this thing before you can't even hear me talk.
Okay. Do you want to do it fast,
I bet,
or do you want to
I
take?
bet during this episode you can hear me get more and more and more nasal.
You don't want to take a second. You want to?
Let me blow the old nose.
Okay, go for it.
But then we should do it right away.
And let me figure out the setup. Whoa! All right, back to the netherworld. Go we. Whoa!
How did you do that?
It's capturing the wrong monitor, so it's folding in on itself.
Could they see that?
All right, everybody.
Oh my god! Yeah, they could.
We've got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Morpheus, get me out of here! All right, we're going to take a look at some internet time travelers in just a second. Let me switch this real quick. That one last time, and then we should be able to switch to go over here. And bingo. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. And I'll put us up here. So we'll be up here, and we'll be commenting on things that are happening on this monitor. Oh. I need to do a little time travel of my own. Yeah, and we'll start. Let me start like this, because in the ones that I posted of PB Goober and the paranormal website, we were exclusively little teeny tiny faces in the corner. So let's do a better job of that.
Yeah.
So we'll start on this page, but I'm gonna start us also big.
Cool.
Okay, so we're going to do a little bonus video.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Will.
Hey, me, Kristen.
We're doing a little additional footage for you. That's a boring way to start it. A little additional footage.
That's true, though. That's fine.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Will. Just get back in there. You can't do it?
I can do it. Well, do it again then.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Will.
And me, Kristen.
And we talked about time travel on the show this week, and we decided to hang out for a few more minutes and take a look at the actual time travelers themselves. So we talked about the Charlie Chaplin time-traveling woman. We talked about the Michael Tyson. Little Mikey
Michael
Tyson's
Tyson. Yeah.
boxing match where there's a time traveler. in the stands. We're going to take a look at some of the footage and the pictures and stuff. Yeah, so let's take a look.
Cool.
So first, I'm just going to Google Chaplin time traveler. I'm sure that will do the trick.
Okay.
Right?
Are we still streaming right now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Chaplin time traveler. Oh, it's a video too. I'm going to mute it.
Yeah.
The audio is not necessary anyway, but all right, let's see. It's 1 minute and 19 seconds.
Yeah.
This is her, by the way.
This one?
See that?
Oh, yeah.
See that? Now, isn't it conspicuous? Holding her hand to her ear. Now, there are some people who like to say, but if this was a time traveler, why is she dead center in the frame and in focus?
A good question. I mean, you can't see what she's holding. She's definitely, like, doing the action of somebody on their phone.
Yes.
But, you know.
And it's sort of...
I mean, I don't think you can tell what she's holding, like, at all. Oh, I guess when she turned a little bit, you can kind of see.
When she turns a little bit, yeah, there's a close-up of it. So when she turns a little bit, you can see it looks like she's talking into this device.
It does. I mean, it does. It does look like that.
So it definitely has a suspicious... It also has a spooky vibe slowing it down this much.
Yeah, totally.
Now, is this... Look at that.
It does seem like she's talking on her cell phone.
Yeah, her mouth opens a little bit at the end of that.
What the hell's going on?
That is strange.
It's very strange.
Right? Now,
Yes.
can we... I wonder if there's any additional information, because I really want to know if there's, like, a product.
Yeah.
All right, The Atlantic has an article about this. Get that going. And then, in the meantime... My computer seems like it's being slow.
That's okay.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Got too much stuff going on, maybe.
Maybe it does. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah, look at this. Oh,
my
no.
goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Okay, are we catching up? All right.
Okay.
Let's look up the Mike Tyson time traveler.
Michael Tyson.
Traveler.
There you go.
All right. We'll go to Snopes because they'll debunk it for
Yeah.
us right away. See? This
my
is that
God.
vertical
Yeah.
rectangle.
I mean, that is crazy looking.
It looks exactly like a phone.
It completely does.
It looks exactly like a phone.
Yes.
False. A video was published on YouTube in 2015, but it was of a 1995 match. And that's where this is, 1995. Now, phones in 1995 existed, cell phones, I mean.
That's amazing.
But, yeah, see?
yeah.
Now, this is what the debunkers like to tell you.
Right. That's what they'll say.
Yeah, that there were portrait mode phones available.
Can you go back up? I just want to see if it looks. I mean, you can't really tell. I feel like it looks more flat than those things look.
It doesn't look like any one of these.
No.
I will say that.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
It's all white,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have these bands going across.
No, but I guess they're just using those as examples of potential cameras.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, it looks like a cell phone.
It looks exactly like a cell phone.
Once again, I remain
1995.
unconvinced that these aren't time travelers.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Tyson and McNeely.
I'm not seeing compelling evidence to disprove this to me.
Now, I don't know-
Besides the knowledge that,
Look at that. There it is in
time
motion.
traveled into,
Yeah.
the past shouldn't be real.
Now, I don't know if Michael or McNeely ever
Yeah.
commented on this themselves. Could
I don't
they
know.
sense that there was someone in their midst that,
Maybe it threw them.
yeah,
Probably through the fight.
yeah, whoever lost because they were distracted.
Yeah. By the future phone.
Yeah, this is the debunking article about the Chaplin time
Okay.
traveler. First long-distance telegraph was
Okay.
patented in 1924. A compact, pocket-sized carbon microphone/amplifier device suitable for pocket instruments.
All right, so basically like a primitive cell phone, kind of.
Yeah. And there's not a photograph of it,
Yeah.
although they have this link to a hearing aid. Okay. This is a
Okay.
rectangular electronic hearing aid
Yeah.
available in 1925.
Okay, and what was the movie?
Charlie Chaplin's The Circus. So let's just find out the year.
Yeah.
Charlie Chaplin, The Circus. And see. This movie...
1928.
28. So
Okay.
this thing existed.
Yes.
And in the realm of debunking, what all these
Right.
debunkers
Yeah.
like to do is say it was completely possible and reasonable that
Right.
that woman had purchased that device.
Yes.
But we all know the
Yeah.
truth. We all
Of course.
know. Let's look
It's
at
a
the
cell
hipster.
phone.
Let's look at the hipster
Yeah,
photo.
yeah.
The hipster time traveler. Fact check. Does this photograph capture a time traveling hipster? Here he is.
Oh my God.
You've never seen this? This doesn't ring a bell?
No.
He
Oh my God.
it's just a photograph, so I don't know why there's
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
That's
open
so funny.
open image in a new tab.
A hipster doofus.
Yeah, there's a hipster doofus in this photograph. So you can plainly see, like,
Oh my
look at
God.
the era
Yeah.
of fashion.
Yeah, he definitely sticks out like a sore thumb. He looks like a time traveler.
He looks like a time traveler. There's nothing
That
to
is
it.
so funny.
Also, his sunglasses don't look like just sunglasses. They
No.
look like for when people have had their eyes dilated or
Yes.
they have like a photosensitivity to light.
Yes.
And maybe that's the case. But yeah, he's not wearing a hat. Although
He's
neither
wearing,
are these
like-
guys.
He's wearing like a graphic tee.
I have to get my avocado toast.
Nice, Will.
I'm starting this new thing called breakfast plus lunch. I think it's really going to take off in 80, 90 years.
Is brunch a famously hipster construct?
In the recent past, yeah.
It's not constructed by hipsters,
I'm
though.
making fun of people who make fun of.
I know that.
the
I'm
hipsters.
just saying. I don't think hipsters invented brunch.
And then-
They might think they did.
And then this guy.
The fuck? That was a that was a good joke.
That was a good joke. Congratulations.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry. I didn't give you the
They might feel like they invented brunch.
good one, Chris.
Thanks, Will.
And then this guy here in the foreground is going, in my day, breakfast and lunch were separate. We kept them separate by a few hours.
I don't want to hear it.
They should not be together. Where is your hat? Button your cardigan.
Yeah, this is nuts. It almost looks like he's wearing a little necklace, too.
And it also looks like he is holding a Polaroid
Yeah,
camera
yeah.
to be delightfully retro.
Oh, my God. I'm convinced this guy.
So this is a time traveler.
This is a time-traveling hipster.
This is a time traveler.
That's so funny.
What else? There was like a Robert Redford movie with a time traveler too.
Really?
Something like that. Yeah, Robert Redford iPhone time traveler. If it's not Robert Redford, I'm
Okay.
pretty much unable to
It doesn't
look
seem
this
like
up.
it.
Yeah, iPhone time
Yeah, just do
traveler movie. We'll just post. Oh, look, there are paintings. There are paintings of time travelers. Why'd I have to look at movie like videos? Here, 1937 painting. Let's look at somebody holding
Yeah.
an iPhone. Oh no! Right here.
Oh, my God.
Holy moly! It's true.
Truly hidden in plain sight. He's like front and center almost.
It's all
front
true.
and off center.
If only there was more information about
Yeah,
this
right.
to color my interpretation of it. But no, look at that
Nah.
photo. He's definitely a time traveler.
We'll never find out.
Moving on.
Yeah.
All right, let me add the word movie here and see if we can get
Sure.
another, and then we'll. Yep, this is the one I was looking
okay.
for. Time traveler in a 1948 film. So you can see these people are in some sort of
It's James Dean.
like a stage.
Right? I didn't know that James Dean did this kind of thing.
Is that James Dean?
I think it is. Make it go in motion again.
He wasn't later than 1948. Henry Fonda
Henry Fonda. Oh, okay.
and Shirley Temple.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I think it's Henry Fonda in the stagecoach.
Yeah.
He's about to get in and consult his phone real quick. They were filming this scene,
Yeah.
but real quick he had to check his future notifications.
Amazing. Does he kind of look like James Dean in my nuts?
Believe it or not, I know nothing about James Dean. Oh,
I,
whoa!
honestly, I don't
Oh
either.
my gosh, is that Brad Pitt? Whoa.
Wow. There
Oh
it
my
is.
god. And George Clooney. This is like the original
I bet-
Ocean's 8.
I bet they're about to do an epic prank on James Dean back there.
This is Ocean's 68.
Nice.
Wait, Ocean's 11. More like Ocean's 1911. All right.
Boy, that guy's got a lot of business.
They had a lot to say up there. Here we go. See, look. It's an iPhone. He's probably reading his lines off it.
That's amazing.
He thought they weren't going to use this take.
Right.
He thought it was rehearsal still. So he's reading his lines
Well, there's the
off
proof.
his iPhone. There it is.
The proof is in the pudding.
Because, and the most important thing to take away from all of this is that we have to keep a level head and remember
Yes.
that dark-colored rectangles did not exist before the year 2008.
Correct. Correct. And if anybody tries to tell you that those aren't cell phones, they're lying to you. They're killjoys, and they're also trying to hide the truth from
Yeah,
you.
they'll sit on your sandwich, pop your balloon, and steal your birthday wish.
That's right.
We don't need them. All right? Vertical rectangles are a very now thing.
That's right.
So All right.
So keep an eye out for them now.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. They're everywhere, people, and we don't talk about it.
Yeah. Hey, and if you're from the future, contact us.
Yeah.
I want to hear
by all
about.
means.
I want to hear about the future.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. That's a little behind the scenes-y, additionally
Yeah.
thingy for Guide to the Unknown. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you on at GTTU Pod.
Yeah.
And all the other places.
All right, we'll see you in the future.
Yeah. But until that time comes, we gotta get back to the netherworld, y'all.
That's right. Bye.
Cool. So that's like a little. We
Great.
can release that like midweek. Let's
Yeah.
check in on our friends real quick.
Oh, what's crapping in y'all?
Yeah, what's going on,
Let's
everybody?
see. Love to see you gabbing.
Yeah, I love that you guys all like hang out and talk to each other.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's cool. Okay.
Hi, and bye, Audra. Well,
Hello. Somebody show me. Yeah, just talking about time travel and stuff.
yeah.
All right, everybody.
Cool.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Split skis?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, everybody. We're gonna peace out. That was super fun.
Yes.
Thank you for hanging out
Yeah,
with
thanks
us.
for hanging out.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah.
No smuck.
There's no Smuckers episode, but what can you do? Not everything can be.
We should do periodic Smuckers checks and just check to see if
Yeah.
the star rating is going higher or
Yeah.
lower.
And how many, people still recommend it or won't.
Oh, we should do a PB Goober review.
Oh my god.
We should use some of the Patreon donations to get our own PB Goober.
Ew, I'm not eating PB Goober.
Why not?
PB Goober.
Ew, ew, I'm not eating PB Goober. How many times has that been said in a household? That might be one of the most common. Like, if you could do like a search, like people do like the most common Google searches.
Yeah.
Like a common phrase.
Said in a household is, ew, I will not eat PB Goober.
Ew, I will not eat PB Goober.
Oh god. Ooh, good to know. Yeah, we said the ice cream toppings reviews are a gem.
Oh, good. I'm
Good
very
to
glad
know.
hear that.
I wonder if Smuckers makes that ice cream that like hardens. You know what I mean?
Oh,
That like
maybe.
shell stuff.
I can kind of
Magic
imagine
shell.
their logo
Yeah, I'm not sure.
on the top of that, but I
Yeah.
don't know for sure.
Not sure. I just found out that it's because of coconut oil in there, because coconut oil solidifies at cool temperatures.
Oh, that's
Interesting, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 I got to go to India for work once, and we were walking around. It was super hot, and I hate coconut, but there was a guy who was standing on the side of the road holding a coconut and a machete and
Yes.
slicing the coconut, rotating it in one hand. He would
Yeah.
like hop it up and rotate it a little bit and slice it again and slice it again and slice it again. He was whittling down the rind of the coconut.
Yeah,
and
I've
then he
seen
lopped
videos of
off the
that.
top and stuck a straw in it and gave it to all of us.
Was it good?
It was awesome.
Oh, cool.
It was delicious.
That's awesome.
It was the best coconut I ever had. I refuse to ever
Let's say like best and only.
touch a coconut
Yeah.
again.
I bet the reviews to Squatty Potty are hilarious. I love my Squatty. I have a knockoff Squatty Potty. I got that for you. Oh, no, you already had one. What the hell's my thing called? It's something funny.
Crouchy.
Crouchy pouchy. Yeah, let me go to my Amazon history.
Crouchy potty? that stinks. Crouchy stinky.
Crouchy stinky. Let me see.
That's so stupid. That's so
Oh
stupid.
my god.
All right, everybody.
This is
Yeah,
so stupid.
Creutzfeldt
Now I
Jakob
wanna
disease
know.
is mad cow disease.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So somebody didn't make it up to just.
Yeah. Thank you for the info dump, Eric. Truly appreciated.
Yes, thank you.
Um,
Oh boy, I don't know how.
it's not a
I'll
sick
find this.
burn on Jacob Creutzfeldt. Your neighbor.
Yeah. I'm just gonna try doing a search for Squatty Potty, and it'll probably come up because I would have to go into my what year I ordered it, and I'm not sure. Guys, I don't know if I'm gonna have this info.
Talk about a cliffhanger. Well, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, you know what? You know what? I can't find it.
Life hack: buy an off-brand Squatty Potty.
It works just as well. Gets the job done, don't it?
Heck, you
Okay.
could even use several leather-bound books all stacked up on each other.
Sorry, I kept you guys. We're done. I couldn't find it.
All right, everybody.
All right.
We'll see you next
Wow,
time.
way to go out with a whimper. Kristen searched for her Squatty Potty knockoff and couldn't find it.
Hold the phone, everybody.
Sorry.
It was a steal getting my off-brand Squatty Potty.
I feel like it's like a something and
I
go.
want to share this with my viewers.
Yeah.
Something and go.
I think so.
All right, everybody.
All right. Okay.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You don't get better than that, Eric. Okay, but we're going. Okay.
Thanks for hanging out, everybody.
right. Bye,
Catch you
guys.
later. Have a good rest of the night.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.